What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Real Hunting. We're up for the good reels, so you don't have to. It's your boy Brad, the Brett Man's right over there. In 2021, we spent a lot of time hunting for good reels. In fact, we saw several movies in 2021. Thankfully, movies came back out as opposed to last year, and we're excited to give you guys our top 10 here today of 2021. Our top 10 favorites. Maybe not the top 10 best for you guys, but for us, it's our top 10. Brett, man, are you excited to get into it or what?
Woohoo! Going through our top 10s. Woo! Okay, I'm going to stop before I embarrass ourselves even further. But that's how excited I am for 2021 and the excitement it brought us to the cinema. It could not only, I can't even imagine what 2022 is going to do. But before we even get to 2022, we need to do 2021, our top 10 movies. And before we even get started, I just wanted to let y'all know that we appreciate you for supporting us for all of 2021. We got big plans for 2022. If you want to continue supporting us, if you know people that want to support us, be sure you all hit that like button on this video, share and subscribe, and of course ring that bell, ding ding ding, so y'all know when that brand new 2022 content is ready.
Right, you are. And of course, stay tuned for our most anticipated movies of 2022, like you just said. That'll be coming out here as well. So just be ready for that. It's exciting times. I love these yearly transitions, man.
All right, you want to do some honorable mentions?
Let's do it, man. I saw 45 movies this year, man. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be good. So these top 12, with honorable mentions, is going to be a good category.
I saw 40. You beat me by 5, you bastard.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
All right, you want me to go first with honorable mentions?
Sure, go ahead.
My first honorable mention is Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds. That is just such a fun roller coaster of a ride. Like anytime there's a Ryan Reynolds movie, you're gonna have a blast. And this is definitely a Ryan Reynolds movie, and he gets to be Ryan Reynolds at his best. So I highly suggest Free Guy. I don't think it gets talked about enough.
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed that one too. That was a lot of fun. My first honorable mention here is going to be Black Widow, actually. I did not really have expectations for this movie at all, but it came out and it was a huge surprise. I had a really good time with it. It was a lot of fun. Florence Pugh was great. Of course, Scarlett was good too. And we had a really good time with it, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. And that's also Chris Snyder's favorite movie, too. Favorite Marvel film of 2021.
Oh, I bet that's a lie, dude. I bet that's a lie.
You're welcome.
I liked it, though. It was fun. It was a good espionage thriller. It was fun.
Chris hated that movie, and we're going to have to talk to him about that. But my other honorable mention is Cruella. This one, do you talk about how Black Widow, you went in with low expectations? I went in with super low expectations with Cruella, and dadgum Emma Stone just steals the damn show with this movie. Just when I didn't think like a Disney villain solo movie is going to work as well as Cruella, she made it work. It was a good script. I thought all the actors and actresses did a great job. So I highly suggest watching Cruella on Disney Plus if you have not already.
Hell yeah, Britton. So for me, my next one up on the honorable mention list is going to be Guy Ritchie's Wrath of Man with Jason Statham. It was good. Again, I didn't see it when it first came out earlier in the year. I just watched it a few weeks ago, and again, I'm very pleasantly surprised with it. Nice and gritty crime thriller, freaking violent and dark, and all the crazy things you expect to see from these guys. And it was a different tone for Jason Statham, who usually plays kind of a more I don't know, just, unrealistic, kind of far-fetched action hero. And he was more grounded in this, and I really liked it.
Hell yeah. I just heard 50-50 things about it, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. So I say that's it for honorable mentions, unless if you had any more.
That's it, man. I'm good. I'm ready to go crack into this top 10.
Let's do it. And Brad, let's go ahead and start off strong with one of your favorite movies of 2021. My number 10 is Willy's Wonderland.
Oh, fuck off.
Man, I freaking had to do it. But yeah, number 10 is Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage. And dude, like talk about like it's so much damn fun. Like I had such a great time with this, and I know a lot of people didn't like Nicolas Cage, what they were asked of him to do in this movie, but I felt like it was one of his strongest performances I actually have ever seen because they took away one of his biggest strengths and just to test him on his acting skills. And dude, I think he just freaking sells it. I have a good time. I love just the environment of this movie, so I highly suggest checking out Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, man. Not a fan. There's one Nicolas Cage movie I liked a lot. It almost got in my top 10, and that's Pig, but it didn't quite make it. But either way, I'll get started with my number 10. Here today is going to be Spencer. This movie with Kristen Stewart that came out back in October or November or something. Yeah, November, I believe. And it's really, I if you would have asked me if this would have made my top 10, I would have said no, no way. This isn't really my cup of tea. But I got in there. It's just a really well-made movie, man. You're talking really good cinematography, really good score, really great performance by Kristen Stewart. It's just a story about a true story about Princess Diana and stuff. And I don't really know too much about all this stuff, but this was a good eye-opening movie for me, and I really enjoyed it. It was great.
Hell, hell yeah, man. That's awesome. Kristen Stewart's a talented actress, so I need to check it out. My number nine is going to be, and two of these movies are going to be in the top 10 of mine, and you'll know exactly when I mention it. So my number nine is going to be Fear Street, 1978. And I know all of you are going to be thinking, well, damn, he's got 78, only at number nine. What could possibly be a better Fear Street movie than this? Because a lot of people like this one as their preferred movie of the Fear Street trilogy. But I still absolutely love it. I love the camp atmosphere. It just brings you right back to the freaking 80s, man, of slashers, where it's just a high peak of like the camp setting. That's one of the most fun settings you could do for a slasher. But what made this movie different, it's just the characters are so well developed, and in fact, you really truly care about these characters, and it's just great storytelling. Fear Street, 1978, as my number nine.
Hell yeah, man. That was a fun one, man. 78 was a good time. Good music, good soundtrack. A lot of good times, some good kills in the air, but none of those really
It also has the sack.
yeah, it does have the sack. But all those for me, they're kind of just somewhere in the middle. I don't know. But either way, number 9, getting into number 9, it's going to be this poster back here, The Green Knight movie that came out. David Lowery's The Green Knight. It's again, same thing as before. Some of the best cinematography you'll see all year. Really good, isolated, I guess, story. A King Arthur kind of tale, poem. It's based off of a poem and whatnot, and really cool. I would recommend it if you guys are into the A24 stuff because it's really it's a solid one. If you're not into that kind of slow burn stuff and you expect this battle movie with King Arthur, you're not going to get that with this movie. But it's a nice isolated story, and Alicia Vikander is in it, and she's fantastic as well. And yeah, it's a good time. I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Oh man, see you ruined it for me with no big battle because that's what I was suspecting. I was suspecting a big battle, so
It's not
unfortunately,
that kind of story. Yeah.
I'm gonna
But
stay
yeah,
away from that.
well, yeah. Again, if you're into the E24 stuff, like the slower burn, like you're gonna like it. It's
Mhm.
it's 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 really about one dude and his journey, and it's a fun time.
Hell yeah. And I'm a fan of A24, that kind of story, but when you get a knight, I expect a battle. But again, that's just my preference. But yeah, I hear nothing but good things about the Green Knight, so definitely check it out. So let's go ahead and knock out the other Fear Street movie I love, and that is my number 8. It's going to be Fear Street 1666. And
Now
for the
hold up a minute,
most,
Bert.
what's
You're
that?
not gonna have the full Fear Street trilogy in this thing, are you?
No, those are
Okay,
the only
all right,
two.
all right.
No,
Keep going. I digress, man. I'm sorry.
No, the 94 is my number 16 actually because I really enjoyed the Fear Street trilogy, really do. But for me, why 1666 is higher for me. I just love the whole first half of the movie where they actually go back to 1666. I just thought all of it is just super damn well done. I wish we could have spent more time with it. And then the second half of 1666, we get that as its own individual movie, like a fourth Fear Street. I wish they would have done it that way. So, just for me personally, 1666 goes above 78 just because the storytelling, just the way the actors and actresses had to actually perform during that time frame is very difficult. But I thought they all did a phenomenal job. And just you're just so invested into the two main girls' characters. So I really enjoy 1666.
Hell yeah, man. I agree, man. I like the first half better. That it turned into a mess about halfway point where it's like all over the place. But
Right, they should
the first,
they should like separate it into two movies and do one extra week for a fourth movie. That's how they could
right?
have fixed it.
Yes, I agree. I concur. It kind of turned into a shit. Yeah. Either way,
Mhm.
good times, good stories. For me, what number are we on? We're number 8 now, right?
Yeah, number 8.
Number 8 for me is going to be James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. What a great time here with this thing, man. This one it's dropped a few spots for me since it came out. But overall, man, this probably had to be the most fun I had in the theater. Almost the most fun I had in the theater all year. With saw this thing in the Dolby Cinema with the sounds, and you get a nice freaking collection of characters here, and you get John Cena in here, and obviously Harley Quinn, and all the. It's just a great combination of people, man. The laughs are good, the comedy hits, good action. It's rated R, so you get some brutal kills, and you get some rated R jokes throughout, and things like that, and it's just a fun time, man. You get this Weasel guy. The Weasel's a lot of fun. Who knew? Who knew?
And
Big step up from the last one.
oh, dude, absolutely. So I think that's a nice segue to my number 7.
Oh.
Hand. My, my number 7 is also the Suicide Squad with James Gunn, and I'm going to touch upon what you kind of say because you pretty much nailed everything for the most part. I just want to throw this out there, James Gunn. If you want to do a movie that just gives equal light to multiple characters that kind of like our main characters, James Gunn is the guy you call to do it, and he freaking nails it with this movie in particular. I feel like each character they one up each other, but they never like just like ignore a character to the side. Each character was super important, and they get their time to shine in this movie. Especially the polka dot man. Like I
Oh
thought he was
gosh.
just a complete joke, but they made him absolutely great towards the end. And a freaking talking shark. James Gunn made a talking tree work, so I knew he nailed the talking shark. So my number 7 is the Suicide Squad, but it used to be my number 1 of the year. But as you, Brett, it has gone down a few pegs.
Yeah. I still love it. I still think it's a great movie. One of the most fun movies of the year for sure. If this was
The best
most fun
DC
movies.
one.
Oh yeah, man. If this was the list of most fun movies of the list, it'd be right there near the top.
Mhm.
But yeah, man. It's Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy mixed together is what it is, essentially in a vacuum. But
Hell
either
yeah.
way. Another number 7 for me is another. It's going to be a Quiet Place 2 by John Krasinski. I thought this was a really good sequel to the first movie. The opening of this movie alone is just it's so well done and so tense and so much suspense in there. How the opening, if you've seen it, I won't spoil it, but the opening is really neat. It's kind of some moments you saw in the trailer. Really good performances all around. Emily Blunt kind of takes a little bit of a back seat here, but we get Cillian Murphy in here as well, and he's a good addition to the cast. And it has its ups and downs. It's got some good action. It's some emotional moments in there as well. And it was for a sequel. I thought this thing was right up there with the first one, maybe even better. I need to watch them both again to find out, but I absolutely loved it, man. It's a tense movie.
Man, let's go into a nice number segue for my number 6. It's The Quiet Place 2. Pretty much you nailed everything again. I actually I think just by a hair, I put this above Quiet Place Part 1. They can literally go back and forth. Like, again,
Right.
this is how good Part 2 is. And, for horror sequels, they're so hard to like make better than the original. This one does a really great job at it. Like the storytelling is great again. I feel like they cleaned up the creatures. I feel like that was one of the little weaknesses of part 1 is just the CGI was really damn noticeable. But I feel like they did a better job cleaning it up just a hair. So they even look better. And those creatures got more time to shine to be of how dangerous and they are. So that's why I got my number 6 is The Quiet Place Part 2.
Right, man. That's a good one. It's a good pick, man. I think it was a good time.
I wanted to put it in the top 5, but damn, we had a late run of movies in the second half of the year.
Right, you are, Ted. Right, you are. So what? Number 6 now? Yeah, or 7?
No,
It's
you're
my
6.
6. Okay. Yeah, number 6 for me. This is gonna be another one that came out in October. It's Edgar Wright's The Last Night in Soho.
Mm.
Of course, with Thomas and McKenzie and Anna Taylor Joy. Great flick. I thought this the setting in this thing was absolutely, it's one of the best settings I think I've seen in a long time. Just being in
Mhm.
the 1960s London Soho kind of deal. I thought that was really cool. You get some great music in this thing, some nice twists and turns along the way, and the two performances here from the leads are absolutely fantastic as well. Yeah, I thought it was really immersive film, and yeah, man, it was a really good time too. This is one that I didn't know a lot about going in. The trailer was kind of like, it didn't tell you a lot of what was going on. It just kind of showed you some of the weirdness aspects to it. But I thought it was good. It had some decent scares. It got a little cheesy at times, which is why it's a little bit lower than I originally had it. But it was a really good time, man. Really good time.
Hell yeah. So let's go into another segue. No, I'm just kidding. No,
No.
no no more, not a segue this time, I promise you. So we're good on that. My
Okay.
number 5 is gonna be, this is our top 5 now, guys. The best of the best for us. Number 5 is gonna be Malignant. James Wan returning to the horror genre, and dang gum did he return in a big way. Uh I thought this was just going to be good, like not as good as like Insidious and The Conjuring level good, but gum was I proven wrong on that. This is right up there, like in the top mentions of some of the best work he's done in the horror genre. It's just like the story completely took me off guard with what they did with it, and that's what. And if you could do that for a movie, you're going to get highly rated for doing that. That's what Malignant did. The cinematography was great. How James Wan uses the camera. He's an absolute pro with that. So my number 5 is Malignant. Like definitely you have to go see it. It's my number 1 horror movie of the year.
Yeah, it's very divisive. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't like it, and there's reasons behind that. But I agree, and maybe we'll see. We'll talk about it a little bit more here in a little bit. Number 5 for me at this point is going to be Spider-Man: No Way Home, the movie that just came out here
Ooh.
in December. Yeah, man, good times. A lot of fun. Obviously, I know Brettman will like to talk about this movie too, so I won't steal all your thunder here. But this was it was a really good time. I enjoyed obviously seeing all my favorite villains come back. Um, into this movie and stuff like that. And again, I'm not going to spoil it for you or anything like that, or say anything too off the rails. But if you've seen the trailer, some of the people who come back, and I thought that was really good. Good time. Everybody was bounced pretty well as far as character times and all that, character on-screen time and all that stuff. I thought they did a really good job with it. The only thing I didn't like about it is really the story is weak. I'm a story-driven guy. It's really just a fan service movie at the end of the day, but it was good. They did a good job with that. It was really fun. It was a good time.
Hell yeah. At least I'm glad you had a good time with it. And yeah, and I will talk more about it here maybe towards the end of the video. I'm sure you guys already know. But let's go ahead and just continue on real quick. Number 4 for me, Brad already mentioned it already, is going to be The Last Night in Soho. I had really high expectations with Edgar Wright releasing another movie. And I'm a huge fan of Anna Taylor Joy, and it just, dude, everything works. Like you said best yourself, like this, just the cinematography, the setting of the representing the '60s, so damn good. Like it's like you were just like transported right into the damn '60s, and they just did a phenomenal job with it. And I love the mystery behind it too. I was totally wrong on the of my guess of what happened towards the end. But what they did and how they explained it, it all made sense, and it was just nicely well done. Last Night Soho, number 4. It is a joy to watch.
Nice. I see what you did there. I see what you did, and I love the Thunderball reference, and they're going back in the '60s
Oh,
there at
I
one
know.
point. Yeah,
I
that was
thought of
great.
you immediately when Thunderball.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Brad would go in there.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, man, it's so cool. So okay, in the top 4 now. Number 4 for me is one. If I had to name a number 1 underrated movie of the year, this would be it, and that's going to be Ridley Scott's The Last Duel. This
Mm.
movie absolutely bombed at the box office. I think in part because it came out in October alongside every other movie this year. With Halloween and No Time to Die and freaking Last Night in Soho, and we went like 18 times in October. It seems like.
Mm.
But either way, this is a great movie, man. Obviously, it stars Matt Damon, Adam Driver, and Jodie Comer. That's kind of the big three people in the movie, and it does a really interesting way of telling a story by doing so through all three of these people's different perspectives of what happened. Um, Again, I won't get into spoilers here, but it's kind of cool way. It tells a story once with somebody's perspective, tells it again with another perspective, and then it tells it again with the third person. The third person's perspective, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if I've ever even seen that be done before, so I thought that was unique and cool, and a really good way of looking at any situation. Is there's always multiple perspectives looking at it. So I thought that was really cool. Obviously, the again, kind of like Reunite, there's not a lot of action in this, but there is obviously a duel in the movie, and I thought that was done really well as well. Again, the setting is great. It's good, man. I would highly recommend it. Great performances too. Some of my favorite performances of the year from all three of these individuals.
Hell yeah. Let's see here. We're at number 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3, it is going to be and this is to me like one of the surprising movies for me. It's Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Woohoo!
I did not expect it to like absolutely love this movie because like kind of like how you touch upon Spider-Man No Way Home. I thought Ghostbusters Afterlife was going to be just fan service and nostalgia. I felt like that was the main focus they were going to do with this movie. I was so proven wrong immediately. Like, don't get me wrong, it still has this nostalgia and fan service in there. It definitely does, but it doesn't get distracting for the brand new story they're telling with the brand new characters and all that, and kind of like the new little Ghostbusters team that they formatted or like we are presented with. And I thought all the new actors and actresses did a phenomenal job with this movie. And of course, Paul Rudd, always fun as usual, always having a great time with him. And just the Marshmallow Man, that is just a great scene. You'll have to see it. So my number 3 is Ghostbusters Afterlife, and that last act really hit me in the feels. That's how damn good it was.
Hell yeah, man. I still need to check that one out, man. I didn't get around to watching it after the busy ass October we had. But
Oh yeah.
number 3 for me is going to be one you talked about, Brett, man, and that's Malignant from James Wan, man. Annabelle Wallace in this thing is great. What a surprise, man. I had no idea. This movie, the trailer showed one thing, the movie showed something completely different. And I think that's why a lot of people were disappointed with it. But I absolutely love this movie. I don't know what it is exactly. I do. I mean, the campiness to it, it's a fun kind of 80s throwback kind of movie, and the twist along the way are outrageous and in the most amazing way possible. And I think again, I'm not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend it. If you like campy movies, if you're expecting this to be your classic James Wan scary ass movie, you're probably not going to get that here. But it is a good time, and the music in this thing, the soundtrack is fantastic, and there's a lot of great kills in this thing, and good action sequences, and again, Annabelle Wallace was great too, man. This was a great time, and I'm glad it's around, man.
Yeah, I'm glad it's around too, and I feel like I have a good feeling too that it has created the brand new horror icon of the 2020s.
Yeah, and you know what? I will say that it's gained a lot of popularity. I know when it first came out, it was really divisive, but I think people have started to kind of come around to it, and it's kind of gained a little bit more of a following as of late. Now that it's come out on digital and Blu-ray and stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's great. Now hopefully it does kind of ignite some kind of. I would like to see more of it.
Yeah, and I would be curious to see where they go with that. But here we go, top 2 now, and this was like absolutely no contest of like what my number 1 was until a certain movie recently came out and just overthrowed everything. But my number 2 is James Bond: No Time to Die. This was at my number 1 for the longest time, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't feel like it could have been beat. But again, proven wrong lately. But then, No Time to Die, the best way to end the Daniel Craig Bond era. It's just so damn good. Like it's over like a 2 hour 40-minute movie, but you are not bored at all. It like the pacing is great. The cinematography shots are great. Daniel Craig is as absolute best in this movie out of all of his movies since honestly just Casino Royale. It's just I have such a great time with this movie, and this is one that I feel like I will play on my TV a lot. So my number two is No Time to Die.
Very nice. I like it, man. That's a good flick.
I have a good idea where you're putting it.
Oh, do you though?
Mm-hmm.
Number two for me is going to be it's going to be Lamb from eight. No, I'm just messing with you. Now, number two for me is Nobody. Obviously with Bob Odenkirk. It came out early this year. I think January. I didn't even know it was coming. Saw a trailer. Saw that it was in theaters at that time. Went and saw it. It was the most fun in the theater that I've had in a while. Again, I've said that a few times today, but I mean it though. This thing was great. It was absolutely. I mean, it's Bob Odenkirk does John Wick, and it's got his own. I know everybody's heard that at this point, but it's got its own kind of twist to it. He's his own character. I've been waiting on this guy to get his own role, like in an actual movie, for a long time because he does such a good job with Better Call Saul, and he does, and he knocks it out of the park. He carries this movie. It's such a fun time, and so again, great action sequences, and yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely it's number two. I mean, that says a lot, I guess, out of 45. Great time. Highly recommended if you haven't seen it.
So you can see that movie is definitely a nobody.
Yes.
No, I'm just messing with you. That was a bad pun. But before we get to our number one, I think me and Brad, like we talked about, it'd be a good idea to build the suspense of what our number one is going to be. I figure real quickly we talk about what our worst movie of 2021 was. So, Brad, do you want to go
hold
first?
on a second, dude. Yes, I'll go first, but I don't think there's any suspense on what our number one movies are going to be at this point. But anyway,
know, but we got to build it for somebody who doesn't know us. So.
Touche. Okay, yeah. You want me to go first? You said.
Yeah, go first. What's your worst
for me? It's
movie
old.
of 2021?
It's old from M. Night Shyamalan. What the fuck is all I can say about this movie? Objectively speaking, I could say it's probably not the worst movie that I've seen all year, but just when I was in it, watching it, I felt insulted with the level of intelligence that this was written for. I guess. I mean, it was an absolute disaster in writing. This is if I were to hand out a word for worst written dialogue of the century, this movie would probably take the cake. I mean, it was an absolute dumpster fire when it comes to that, and it was very disappointing coming from M. Night, who's traditionally a pretty good writer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I could go like for what my worst movie of 2021 was is I got Killer Rose. In this movie, it's just a low grade action movie. But I'm gonna go towards more your side of kind of like what really just disappointed the hell out of me of how bad it was. And dadgummit, I'll go ahead and just say it's the Matrix Resurrection.
What?
Dude, it's bad.
It's not.
It's bad, dude. Like the more I'm thinking about, like the more I thought about it, like when I walked out of the theater, I gave it 2 out of 5, but it's slowly declining, dude. Like it's bad.
What are you talking about, dude? Like, okay, it's not great, but come on, dude. Better than Killer Rose or whatever you just mentioned.
No, I'm not saying it's worse than Killer Rose, but I'm talking about like really disappointing. It's freaking the Matrix Resurrection. Killer Rose is the worst for me, but I'm not going to blame it because the actors and actresses did freaking try, but you can tell it was just made like on a damn fan film budget, and that's not those actors and actresses' fault.
Okay.
So that's just my opinion.
Better than Venom?
Oh, I think it's
worse
better.
than Venom.
Oh, it's
and Conjuring and
it's
Don't Breathe too.
Dude, it's not even close.
Godzilla and King Kong.
Not even close. So let's go ahead and go to number one, just because I'm telling you, it's. All right, number one. It's time. Number one, 2021 movie for me is Spider-Man No Way Home. Shocker, right? But dadgummit, this movie freaking deserved it because Brad Touch, again, as he said, I was worried about the whole fan service. They would go like way too much. And yes, it is fan service. They throw a lot of that at you, but they did it perfectly. Like they even did to a point where like it overseeded my expectations. Like, and I had pretty damn high expectations for this movie with all the resources they had and everything they threw at us and what we thought was going to happen. But dadgummit, they just even way even above it. And it's fine. It's like a perfect movie, 5 out of 5. Like it's perfect for me. I know it's not going to be perfect for everybody else, but I've been such a huge Spider-Man fan like most of my life, and this just did everything that I wanted to and more. Absolutely loved it. Tom Holland's best performance by a country mile. Benedict Cumberbatch was excellent as Doctor Strange. And I could again talk hours about it. So I'm just going to stop it right there. My number one of 2021 is Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Right, you are, man. I had no doubts that would be up there for you, man. Great time. Brett's seen it like 8 times in the theater now, right? 6, 5.
Well, after this recording, it would be 3 times. I'll be seeing
Okay.
it for a 3rd time today.
Very nice. Yeah, good times, man. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great pick for number one. That'll probably be on the top of a lot of people's list this year.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, my number one is going to be one you just talked about, "No Time to Die" by Cary Joji Fukunaga. This thing, again, man, after Spectre, my expectations were kind of low for this movie going in. I thought Spectre was kind of a letdown. This movie kind of went through some issues in pre-development or pre-production issues and stuff like that, changing directors and getting delayed, which that I guess has nothing to do with the quality of the movie, but it did kind of get delayed at one point before the COVID stuff started anyway. But they kind of changed directors and all that stuff. And I did not, I thought it was going to be decent from when we saw the trailers and stuff, but I was worried. I was hesitant to really be pumped about it. But it came out, man. It blew my expectations away with the way that the story was told. Obviously, like you said, it was paced well for a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. It flies by. And it really does a great job of tying together all the loose ends from the Craig era and putting it into one movie and going through and just again, like I said, it's a perfect ending like you said, it's a perfect ending for Craig's series of Bond flicks here, with the way they worked up towards everything with the previous 4. His performance, he's back as Bond, baby. There's no more Spectre Craig running around. This was like the second best performance in the Craig era, I think. Léa Seydoux was fantastic as well, returning in her role. And obviously you had Freddie Mercury come into this to play the villain. His name just went way over my head, even though he's fantastic. Rami Malek, yes, that's the guy. Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, he was good as the villain. A little bit underdeveloped, but at the end of the day, like there was a lot. The story was more about Bond and his his story, I guess, as opposed to the villain here. So great times. Would definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. And absolutely, my only 5-star movie of the year is right here at number 1.
Hell to the yeah, and it was my number 1 too, and I thought it was going to stay there, but again, just what Spider-Man did for me, just hit everything on all the right cylinders. So, and you might never know in the future, it might go back to number 1, No Time to Die. You never know, but
yeah, I mean, it's just for me. Like, I'm such a big Bond fan. It's probably my favorite franchise of all time, just because I've ever since I was a kid, I grew up with Bond and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And this really hit a lot of things on the right stride. It calls back to some of my other favorite Bond movies, and the score was great by Hans Zimmer. I didn't mention it. I mean, it just for me, it was just everything kind of wrapped up into one thing that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's just like how you feel with Bond is how I feel with Spider-Man. So like that's not a shocker for people who've been watching the channel. But again, both movies are well deserved to be number 1. So I'm glad at least they're number 1 on that. So I got one more question to ask the audience. What did you all think about our list for 2021? Do you agree with our list, or do you have a different list? And we will absolutely love to see your list for 2021. Just drop them down in that comment section down below, and let's get that discussion rolling.
And if you want to find Good Reels, you can just about finding us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, where you can find all of our rankings, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those links are made in the bottom here in the description for you to find.
Absolutely, they will. And be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. And of course, ring that bell, ding, 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 so you all know when the next video is up and ready.
Right, you are, man. Have a good time in 2021, but 2022 will be here before you know it. And then we'll be talking about those movies very soon.
See you next year.
Happy New Year.